Well, I sit here contemplating serious matters. My friend Bud the Oracle is in the slammer, and I understand he's in solitary, and I understand that although he's a writer and a very good writer, he's been denied writing equipment. Well, that to me, to a writer, is cruel and unusual punishment. And this is going on in Canada today with a man, yes, who represented himself as the point of a spear, or that's the way I described him, because he was the most determined activist to end the prohibition that I'd met in a number of years. He was certainly following on in the traditions of Mark Boyer and anyway, other numbers of other people. Myself not excluded. I did go to the Supreme Court of Canada in Ottawa in 1979 on religious grounds. I was a student of comparative religions, and when I turned on to the Blessed Sacrament, I began to have a better understanding into the nature of the metadynamics, I would call them, I suppose, the relationships, the metaphysical relationships, began to emerge from behind the screen of mystery, and the Fourth Way Church, of course, has always been men who explored the chemistry of the mind for the purposes of developing their advantages, I guess, over their fellows. Well, I've having been brought up with a sense of service to all people, rich and poor alike, I haven't made any secrets of whatever I've tried to find out, and I've always believed in sharing. That's, of course, why I didn't make a very good intelligence man, because I'm not into keeping secrets. And the best news I've heard lately is that many people in intelligence of different levels are turning. Now, if we can simply get those people who are intelligent within the bureaucracies to start getting intelligent, then I think the bloodless coup, the caretaker government, will come into being. And the necessity for corporate bodies and moneyed people and so on to be selecting their favorites as representatives will be a thing of the past, and everyone will look back at it the way, we'll be looking back at money in a few years and wondering what was all the fuss about. However, until we have a broader base of understanding about those matters, and I rely on people to go on the web and to find out the truth about how money is arrived at, and how we've generated for ourselves a debit system rather than the credit system, all of which would serve the people equally well, except there would be a better distribution of wealth, and therefore you would not have people, crazy people, well, dare I say crazy people, people, hanging on to stuff throughout their lives and somehow making it a shrine rather than moving stuff along. And in that way, I think we would move forward into a new age of peace and harmony and, a happy state. Now, today I saw the hoopla of the party acted out, where essentially moneyed and powerful, or paper tigers, find somebody they seem to think is personable and malleable, and then they put them in the position of being a leader, and then direct the affairs through that leader, through the cabinet, through the dictatorship of cabinet. In other words, a form of dictatorship which buries itself in a fraudulent statute, which they parade every time they open the House, but in fact it's never passed because it's totally fraudulent. It needs to be challenged. So that's one element of challenge that needs to go to the Supreme Court of British Columbia. The further evidence for challenge would be that the first Campbell government, in fact, failed to sustain the Westminster system. In fact, that you must have an official opposition, and the meanness of the Liberal Party at that time, regretfully for them, I think, and more regretfully for the entire province, but certainly in terms of their history, means to say that all the legislation they passed is null and void and has to go back into the tin box where all these things are properly straightened out in the course of time. So I do see that British Columbia will move into a naturalization, which some of the long-time residents here, like I know Mr. Van der Zalm, myself, and a lot of people who've been here a long time and have the best interests of the people at large, immigrant and Aboriginal people alike, you know, have formed thoughtful patterns that can be widely understood by the people to bring about a renaissance in the way business is done. So we don't have any more of this party adversarial nonsense, and that we have men and women's circles, and you know, I've explained it many times, many places. The reason I'm talking again this way tonight is because it's Saturday night. There's a lot of snow outside, and we had this hoopla from the Liberal Party deciding that one of their candidates was now 42% ahead of, or had 42, what was it, whatever. She had, there was minimal difference between them, between her and what I guess would be the other side of the party. So the party is, you know, already split. So you've got a split within a split within a split within a split, and you know, everybody's doing the splits, and everybody wants to split, you know, because they'd like to take the money and run. Well, yeah, hey, goodbye, good luck. How about we find a new way of doing business? And of course, business is still busyness. And so what we're more interested in is a gentle, happy, exultant, really, culture where, you know, the people are at home and not locked up in their boxes, are able to freely walk around the streets and have time to do it, to meet their neighbors, to develop, you know, community which is based on appreciation for one another. And you know, I'm convinced this could be done practically overnight, but to get there we do have to take a stance, and I think we have to do the sort of thing Gandhi would have done, and that is satyagraha, and that is a peaceful resistance. And the only peaceful way we can do it is really by not filling in our tax returns this year and saying to the federal government, no, we won't fill in any more tax returns until you bring our troops home from Afghanistan. We don't want to hear anything else. We'd like to have our troops home. Thank you very much. And if the Americans object, well, maybe we'll have to invade them or something, you know, because they won't have any of their troops at home. They're all overseas, 700 bases, if you can imagine. Anyway, well, maybe that's going a little far, but I do think it's time to become one people on the land, and to, you know, grace our Creator with a new age of delight, a new sense of having fun and being fun, and FUN, free, united, and natural, or native. You know, it's where we need to go. We're all crew on Spaceship Earth. For many years I felt that Neptune was calling me, in fact since a little boy, and I've always been a green man, and green is associated with insects, oddly enough. I discovered that in Mexico on the peyote. And yeah, father-son is an entirely conscious, fully aware, all the time, everywhere, wherever there's light, whether it's reflected or shining out through whatever, you know, light is the carrier of information. And the fact that we haven't really, you know, well, I guess we've got fiber optics now, so somebody's figuring it out. Certainly when I looked at the way they were doing it, I went, these guys are nuts, you know. But that just shows you, you know, that sometimes, you know, the what could I call them, the classic leaps forward, as Mao would say. You know, we're coming from crazies, and I think peace can come. And I believe that we don't have to suffer for less than our ideals. You know, our ideals and our wildest dreams can come true, but we have to give up a few things. One of those is this style of management of our collective affairs, this exalted, allegedly exalted, and so perfect parliamentary system with the monarchy and so on, it's clearly not producing the results it needs. It's taking us more and more down the trail to geopolitics that these lunatics in the Ivy Leagues invented. And unfortunately, they took the game of risk too seriously, and of course, nothing but chaos in the world. And we have to look at that. The people that legitimize doing wrong so that good will result. No, I'm sorry, that's a perversion. Upholding creation, as my friend Mark talks about, is a very, very wise new covenant. If we can accept upholding creation as our common word on which we base our ethical and moral foundation, then it means to say we're connecting ourselves back to light, back to the material, but bringing with us the light of what was once called the Holy Spirit is now recognized as the holistic spirit, if you like. Call it the Holy Spirit, if you like. It's holy. It's full of holes. It's like everything is full of holes, and therefore everything is holy. And we are holons, I'm told. Whatever that might mean. Well, I guess we are whole ones, you see. The English language age. I once did an acid trip. I shouldn't get on too long here. I'll have to edit or something. But when I was in Ottawa some years ago, what was I going there that time for? Oh, I think I was, that would be the second or third time I went there. I used to go and lobby and stir it up. Or, no. That's the result, but that wasn't the intent. The intent was to prevent further damage. And people intent on wrongdoing, they get pretty, determined. And especially if you're kind of just a powerless know-nothing that everybody's condemned to the dustbin, you're not going to get a very clear hearing. In fact, they'll screw you around if they can get away with it, which they more or less did. However, moving on. Yeah, so I'm running out of time. I hope this is useful. I am a man of peace. I am looking for a bloodless coup. I am looking for a rebellion which starts within the institutions. Probably the sheriffs are best equipped and most forceful and intelligent. After all, they are technically the masters at arms. I mean, one, I suppose, could call on some of the army, Canadian Army, the various regiments around here to, stand to and be ready to receive their brothers in arms back from Afghanistan as quickly as possible. And in this way, I think Canada can become one people on the land. We can learn to live with one another in peace. And we can say to our neighbors to the south, I'm sorry, but unless you arrest George Bush, Cheney, and the rest of those banksters, and all the banksters associate with them as soon as possible, then we'll have to close our borders. We're having a little rebellion up here, and you're a rebellious lot down there, so I appeal to the rebellious lot down there to support the rebellious lot up here and prevent any violence. But at the same time, you guys down there, you better stay down there, and we'll take care of it up here in a peaceful way. Because I just hope and pray that you guys are going to be good to one another, kind, and pray that peace will come in our times. And that's all I'm going to say. All my relations, thank you very much. God bless. I'm going to have a little smoke. Sorry if that offends anybody. Am I sorry? No, if you're easily offended, what can I say? Oh, Lord.